Hello, Isaac here again, and this is the discussion post for the book Sula, which I hope everybody read. Sula was published in 1973 and was written by Toni Morrison, a very famous and influential author, while she was still working as an editor at Random House. Toni's real name is Chloe Wofford, and she picked up the nickname Toni while in school, and Morrison is the name of her ex-husband. She regrets using the name Toni Morrison on her first book, The Bluest Eye, but she was kind of stuck with it then after getting that book published, which is a very popular book that I recommend reading. I read it in high school and I enjoyed it very much. I think this is interesting because Morrison's books typically center around the female empowerment, while she's simultaneously stuck with a man's name. Sula the book was published in the midst of the developing second wave of a women's movement and the unending Vietnam War protests. During this time, there was also a black arts and aesthetics movement era in the United States. The novel was informed by the social energies generated during this era. The book starts in 1919 as a shell-shocked war veteran named Shadrach returns to Bottom and creates National Suicide Day. His thought was that death could happen on one day and one day only, and not the rest of the year. This is kind of ironic considering all of the death that happens throughout the book. The book focuses mainly on two characters, Nell Wright and Sula Peace, and the segregated, dying town of Bottom. The two girls come from very different households and they have different personalities, pretty much opposite. Yet they become almost one mind in body. They're really good friends. The two girls go through mental, emotional, and physical changes together. Unfortunately, they also commit accidental manslaughter together. Not long after, Sula's mother, Hannah, dies and she is left with her grandmother, Eva, who also commits murder. Eventually, Nell gets married and then Sula leaves for college for an unspecified amount of time, then returns 10 years later. Sula takes on the habits of her mother, though with less class, and begins to sleep with men in the neighborhood regardless of their marital status. Nell later walks in on Sula with Nell's husband, and this kind of ends their relationship. Time goes by and Sula ends up getting sick. Nell comes to see her before she dies, and it kind of ended without any closure. It was lacking of closure. During this time, Eva has been in a rest home since shortly after Sula returned, due to an arrangement over the death of Sula's mother. Nell goes to see Eva in the rest home, and they have a strange yet harrowing conversation that leaves Nell at a bit of a loss and forces her to look inward. Shadrach comes down for the annual suicide day, and much of the town joins him, but then in an interesting turn of events, several townspeople die when the cave collapses. A cave outside of town of an old mine. A cave-in of an old mine, sorry. Okay, so the book addresses several important topics such as black feminism, motherhood, death and murder, suicide and PTSD, sexuality, racism, and war. Sula, throughout her life, rejects the traditional notions of feminine responsibility, and she refuses to see women as only wives and mothers, much like her mother and her grandmother. The book brings light to women of color, being fraught with or empowered by independence, their ability to be sexually free beings that don't care about the judgment of others. Perhaps the thing that stood out to me the most was when Eva and Hannah discussed the love of their children, but whether they like them or not. I found this to be extremely deep and honest, and not just because they were black single mothers, but simply because they're mothers, but they are people first. The book illustrated several compelling issues and topics, many of which are still prevalent today, that I can't discuss justly in this video, but I hope that you all found the book as interesting as I did and read more of her work. Like I said, The Bluest Eye is a really good book, and that was her first book. So I have two questions prepared for you. The first one is, what do you think the meaning or significance was in the last conversation between Nell and Eva? And that was the conversation in the rest home, and the thoughts that Nell had when she was leaving that, and why do you feel that way? And the second question, analyze the thoughts, feelings, and potential reasoning for Eva murdering her son and for Eva throwing herself out of the window to save her daughter when she was on fire. Do you think that these two actions originate from the same place or from the same feelings? Why do you feel that way or why not?